All right, guys, how's it going? I'm back and I'm here to try and start churning out videos for you again. I'm not full of enthusiasm and I don't feel my usual jokey self. I am going to record a video and upload it to my other YouTube channel, Duncan Oldham. The link is in the video description to that channel, and it will pop up on the screen at the end if you want to click through. And in that video, I will talk about why we're making content again, and explain to you, what people have said to me about the whole situation. So in any videos I upload today, I don't want to take up too much of your time in each video repeating this, okay? So rather than go on about it in this video, please go over to my other YouTube channel, youtube.com// Duncan Oldham, and there'll be a morning briefing on there which will go through everything with you, and you can leave your feedback on there. But we are going to start, discussing other things again. The overwhelming majority of you have requested that. I would say 99% of you've said that. So, and that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so we're going to move on, and we have to move on, unfortunately. And I don't know. It's very difficult, and if I don't move on right this second, we're going to be talking about the situation, and I don't think that's good on this video. So, right, where shall we start? Right, well, we're going to be talking about Díaz. You've probably worked that out. What's he called? I forgot his name. Fabrizio Romano. I want to read something to you that he said today. I didn't go to the cafe this morning. Now, you guys know that usually I go to a cafe in the morning, or my local cafe, and I review the Spanish football dailies, and then, to look for Liverpool news, stuff like this. And but today I didn't do it. I broke my routine. I'm not really sure why. I don't know, maybe because of everything. I'm sure we'll be back in the cafe tomorrow or something, but I don't know. I reviewed them at home this morning. Now, while I was reviewing these papers, at the exact same time that I was reading them for you, Fabrizio Romano put a tweet out, right, and said as follows: Barcelona plans have not changed. The intention is to try and make new approach for Luis Díaz soon. Díaz keen on the move, and then he put the emojis like that, them eyes like that. He's the main target for Barca as winger. This is exactly his words. While FCB are aware of difficult negotiations ahead, club to club, after two approaches already rejected. And obviously then all the content creators and Twitter twats are then, using Fabrizio Romano's quotes and everything. But what he failed to mention that the Spanish media this morning, the Barcelona media, is dominated with Luis Díaz. So basically he's telling you what I'm about to tell you that's in the papers. But he just forgot to let everybody know that bit, and then people obviously listen to him because they give it a bit more strength when Fabrizio Romano says something, right? But, there's a lot of people that think that as well as the exclusive news and quality, as Rafa Benitez would say, quality content that he provides, he also taps in a lot of stuff and doesn't tell people where it's come from. So you just need to be aware of that. So basically, Fabrizio Romano is telling you that Luis Díaz to Barcelona is, possible again. And that's because of what's in these papers. And that's what we are going to go over today. Now, I'm going to try and do this to save you as much time as possible. What I'll do is I will give you a summary of the article, and then I will go through the article. Well, hang on. I will give you summaries of the articles, because there's plural, and then I will give you a more in-depth, look at it, go through the article with you in this video, if you want to continue watching. So basically, we've got Sport, which is the closest newspaper to Barcelona. Deco returns to square one. Front page is Deco. This is the sporting director of Barcelona. And as you can see, I think here, this is pages 2 and 3 that are dedicated to the Díaz stuff. And then it goes on about Nico Williams and that falling through. And then, I don't know if you can see this, there's another bit about Deco here, which is like an opinion piece, which I'm going to come to. regarding Luis Díaz. But let's focus on Luis. We got him in there, and also just briefly, I'll just flick across. There's Mundo Deportivo, which is the other Barcelona newspaper. Not quite as close to Barcelona, I feel, but still, very good for their coverage. Again, front page this time. Sin conditions. That should mean without condition or without conditions. That headline. See, my Spanish is amazing, isn't it? And basically, what that article is going to tell you is that Díaz wants to sign for Barcelona, but without conditions. That Nico Williams was saying, like, yeah, I'll sign for you, but I want it written in my contract that if you can't register me, then I want to be released immediately rather than have to wait and stuff like that. And basically, what the papers are going with here today is that Luis Díaz is up for the move. And will not be demanding, like an immediate escape or something like that. All right. So this one. So Deco returns to square one. Liverpool's Colombian forward has always been the favourite option of Barca sporting director and becomes it again after Nico Williams' unexpected snub. The summary of the article says, basically, after Nico Williams unexpectedly rejected Barca and renewed with Athletic Club, Deco is back to pursuing his original top target, Luis Díaz. The Colombian has always been Deco's preferred choice, but Liverpool are reluctant to sell, especially after the tragic death of Diogo Jota. The transfer is seen as complicated, but not impossible, with hopes that Díaz and his agent will push from their side. Marcus Rashford remains the backup plan and is eager to join, potentially even on loan, which could also benefit Barca's budget and squad planning. So that's a summary of that one. Let me just skip forward for you. Massive articles today, guys. Okay, let's have a look. Deco ready to make decisions. That was the other one from over here. I'm not left-handed, by the way. Where are you, Mr. Deco? There you are. Can we get that? Can we make it a bit bigger? That's what she said. Anyway, this one is an opinion piece which defends Deco's leadership after Barca lost out on Nico Williams. The author says Deco's approach is calm, methodical and resilient, pointing out that Luis Díaz was always Deco's first choice anyway. And the article praises Deco for making tough calls, like backing Hansi Flick and moving on from Ansu Fati, and says he's building a long-term project with discipline, not emotion. Now, which you guys, we've spoke about Luis Díaz for over a year now, right? And, Deco has always been the one that wanted to sign him. I think Laporta was maybe more into the idea of Nico Williams, but Deco has always wanted Luis Díaz. So I don't know if there's a summary of the third article. There is. I do apologise if I'm not my usual self. It's just very difficult at the moment with everything. So let's look at this one. The without conditions kind of piece that's in Mundo Deportivo. So the summary here, and then you can log off if you want because we're already 9 minutes in. But we'll go over everything. Barca has returned to prioritising Luis Díaz after Nico Williams' renewal with Athletic. Unlike Nico, Díaz isn't asking for any contractual safety nets and has expressed full trust in Barca to register him. Talks with Díaz's camp have resumed and he is expected to ask Liverpool to let him leave, but only after a respectful pause following Jota's tragic death. Social media has criticised Díaz for missing the funeral, but sources insist he's deeply affected. I must stop there. I've seen a lot of stuff on social media saying he was at a party, he was with social media influencers. But one of the videos I saw claiming this was from 2024. And it's claimed, I've seen it claimed that he couldn't get the connecting flights to get to the funeral. And I've seen people saying he was the only Liverpool player to miss it, but I was told that Salah missed it. I don't know. I didn't watch any of the funeral, or I have not read anything in the last few days. I've avoided social media, so I couldn't tell you what's going on because I don't want to know, right? So if you're seeing things, you know, really having a go at Díaz, just be cautious, just be careful with that, and make sure it, you know what I mean. Just verify it, because I have seen some false stuff posted, and it feels like there's a bit of a little witch hunt against him. Like people are deliberately trying to target him, but it's coming from people overseas, not not from England or anything like that. Like not Liverpool fans. Well, I know we got Liverpool fans overseas, but what I mean, it's coming from specific countries where they're targeting him. So just bear that in mind, right? You might know more than me. If you do, cool. All right. I'm just saying that I know one of the videos I've seen where someone says, "Look at him, he's disgusting. He's on social media." It's not true. It's from 2024. There might be something new. I don't know. Meanwhile, details emerge about how the Nico deal collapsed. His agent's late demand for a release clause created tension, leading Barca to walk away. There were also internal concerns about dressing room dynamics, which I've spoke to you about previously, and the agent's conflicting interest. Despite the disappointment, Barca is now calmly pursuing their true plan, Luis Díaz. You remember Yamal, big close friend of Williams. Many of the Barcelona players, the younger ones, are putting, all these social media pictures of him and them out, and just kind of implying, to sign him. We want him at this club. So I've always thought that, wow, if Díaz ended up going up there, would it be like, we got him instead? Do you know what I mean? So anyway, that's it. That's the summary of everything, right? So I'm going to go back to the beginning. Deco returns to square one, and I'm going to go through the article in real time. It's going to be a bit all over the place, so you might want to log off now, to be honest with you. Basically, it's the the Barcelona media saying that he is a priority, and they're confident that they can do something. All right, that's basically what it says. Remember, you're going to see Fabrizio Romano quoted and re-quoted and retweeted by all the Twitter twats. But just remember, it came from there this morning. Right, so Deco returns to square one. When the FC Barcelona sporting department, led by Deco, began planning for the 25-26 season months ago alongside head coach Hansi Flick, it was agreed that signing a left winger was the summer's top priority. Then the opportunity to sign Joan Garcia arose, and the first position strengthened was the goalkeeper. After, Barca paid Espanyol 26 million, the release clause. At the same time, Deco began talks with Luis Díaz's camp. The Colombian has been his favourite choice to strengthen the left wing since last season, which last summer, remember, it was going on last summer. But everything changed on the 13th of June when the agent of Nico Williams travelled to Barcelona to meet Deco and ask if Barcelona would reconsider the signing of the athletic winger who wanted to join the Spotify Camp Nou project, because they tried to sign him last year as well, apparently, and that didn't work out either. After days of reflection, Barca's sporting committee decided to lift the previous veto on Nico, put in place after he rejected them a year earlier, and to pursue him. An agreement was reached with him and his agent regarding contract length and salary, and everything was left pending the payment of his 62 million release clause. But last Friday, 3 weeks after that 13th of June meeting, and after Barca refused to accept some of the agent's demands, Nico Williams shocked everyone by announcing his contract renewal with Athletic until 2035. Imagine turning down Barca twice. Mental. And then there's some quotes. Like in the middle of that, can you see the bold bits? They're like 3 little quotes. After the shock and the inevitable anger, Barcelona signing of Luis Díaz is complicated but not impossible, and they're counting on help from the player. Remember, this is what was said before. He needs to put pressure on Liverpool to force a move to Barcelona, get that 80 million euro valuation down. But I don't think anyone should be forcing Liverpool at the moment. I don't think that would go down very well. Excuse me. And there's nothing to suggest that the player is up for doing that, right? So, it could make you a bit angry at the minute thinking that, but this is the media, remember. You don't know, Luis Díaz could be privately saying, I'm not doing that. No. Do you know what I mean? So just don't give him a hard time until we know what's going on. The current situation at Liverpool doesn't favour negotiations, but it's a long summer and Barca are staying calm. Of course, the suggestions of waiting a couple of weeks to do something. After the initial anger over Nico's snub, calm has prevailed, with Rashford still in the background. And it goes on to say, karma's now returned at Barca after that Nico drama. Barca point out that the market is only just open and there are still many weeks ahead. Everything is once again in Deco's hands, who will now take advantage of the groundwork already done to get Flick the player he wants. And then there's a subsection about Luis Díaz. It says Deco is back to square one and has refocused on Luis Díaz, fully aware that bringing the Colombian to Barcelona won't be easy. Unlike Nico, Díaz does not have a release clause and Liverpool currently refuse to negotiate. And that was the case prior to, They won't let the player leave for less than 70 to 80 million euros. What's more, the timing is particularly delicate due to the tragic death of Jota last Thursday. Barca know this isn't the time to make moves. They'll let some days, maybe weeks pass before attempting to progress the signing of Díaz. They believe it's difficult but not impossible, and they're counting on the players and agents' desire to change scenery and join Barca, something they had previously expressed to Deco. Luis Díaz was Deco's number one target, and after 3 weeks off that list, he's back on top again. If his signing happens, it won't be immediate, but Barca believe it could take place in August, partly because Liverpool need money after spending over 200 million euros on Jeremy Frimpong, Florian Wirtz and Milos Kerkez. And then it goes on about Rashford being, an alternative plan. That's always been the case, if you think about it. I think we've been talking about this for a year now. It was Isak, Díaz, Rashford. Williams was in there as well, but you've got to remember, Nico Williams, last summer, he angered them last year. So then in the last year, they've been talking about those three, saying that they couldn't get Alexander Isak, to be too expensive, so Luis Díaz was the priority. And Rashford another, like a fallback option, as I call it. But then as we started to approach, the end of the season, Nico Williams' name started to come in a little bit, but the reporting has always been that Deco favoured Díaz, as you will know if you follow my content. Okay. There's the opinion piece. I don't think we really need that. But there is the detailed article, the Luis Díaz without demands, I thought was interesting, which is this coverage here. Okay, I'm sure you can see that. Luis Díaz without demands. Barca is going after the Colombian who, unlike Nico, isn't making any contractual demands. Luis trusts the Blaugrana club, and after mourning Jota's death for a few more days, he will ask Liverpool to sell him. Then there's like a little thing that says Luis Díaz wants to fulfill his childhood dream playing for Barca. He's once again Barcelona's number one candidate to reinforce the left-wing position following the second collapse of a deal for Nico Williams. I won't read all this because it's kind of duplicated from the other. It says here about Díaz, it says that the club's sporting department is fully refocused on the Liverpool attacker. Since he has always been Deco's preferred option, Barca never fully closed the door on him in case the attempt for the younger Williams brother fell through. In fact, in the final days of the second Nico saga, because there was one last year, Díaz's camp sent signals of renewed interest to Barca in anticipation of Nico's rejection. And best of all, unlike the Athletic play, the Colombian did so unconditionally. Do you remember we were talking about this, weren't we, guys? And when it was like, they've not mentioned Díaz because Nico Williams is going to be on his way there now, bloody hell, what must Díaz be thinking? And now we know that the agent was still in the background saying, hey, come on, Talks with Díaz's agent have intensified in recent days as Barca saw the Nico Williams operation stall. A situation Mundo Deportivo revealed last Monday had been brewing since the previous weekend. The best news, according to sources within the Blaugrana club, is that Díaz's agent is not demanding any compulsory registration clause in case the club cannot register him. Like Dani Olmo and Joan Garcia, Díaz has told Barca that he fully trusts they'll be able to register him before the summer window closes. In this climate of mutual trust, negotiations have progressed steadily, avoiding the kind of surprises Barca faced with Nico Williams and his agent. In fact, Barca is confident that Díaz plans to formally ask Liverpool to let him leave. That said, They don't expect this to happen immediately due to the shock and mourning at Anfield following Jota's tragic passing. It's a factor that could affect negotiations as Liverpool is grieving the loss of a top striker. Still, Díaz's mind is made up. He understands the need to wait and respect the mourning period, but his intention remains firm to ask Liverpool to sell him so he can fulfil his lifelong dream of playing for Barca. According to his agent, there's also an advantage. Liverpool need to raise funds after spending heavily on signings like Wirtz, Frimpong and Kirkes. So that's not just a journalist throwing it in there, like saying, a bit of common sense, they're going to need to sell. That's actually saying that this is filtering through from the agent. So the agent must be privy to, other agents are saying, or other players or people that are saying, what Liverpool are trying to do, we're trying to do. But I hate to say it, guys, but this, you're a man down, literally, and you can't say that the Díaz situation is the same as it was a couple of weeks ago. Well, a week ago, can you? Well, a couple of weeks ago because Nico Williams was close to joining them. But if this awful situation hadn't have happened, I think Liverpool were intending to sell him. To Barcelona, not trying to get rid of him, not trying to get him to any club, not trying to push him out at all, but knowing they've got a player that wants to go, and then thinking, well, we can do the money, with the money, put that with the money from Núñez, and then invest in someone else, But where does this leave us now? It's awful, isn't it? Well, what I mean, the awful is awful, awful. Who even wants to have that discussion in the club? The Colombian is due to return to Liverpool soon after his holidays and must then decide when the right moment is to request a transfer. He wants to act calmly but not delay too long. Criticism on social media. Luis Díaz spent his holidays in Barranquilla, Colombia, where he was when Jota's death occurred. Due to flight connections, it was impossible for him to attend the funeral in Portugal. He wasn't the only Red who missed it. Salah, for example, didn't attend either. But Díaz came under heavy criticism, especially online, after appearing at a YouTuber event and being filmed joking and dancing while his teammate was being buried. Sources close to Díaz say he is deeply affected by Jota's death, but had binding contracts that required his presence at the event. Now, I read this earlier, so I don't know what's gone on there, guys. I don't know what's gone on there at all. Because I definitely know the video I saw was old, right? And that's been verified. So maybe there was something new. If someone's got a binding contractual agreement, can they get out of it? I'm sorry, but if my pal died or work colleague or something, I'd be like, well, you can shove your contract up your fucking ass because I'm going to the funeral. But then they're saying that he couldn't do it because of the fights. I don't know. You see, the thing is, you got to understand, has this journalist, is he just sourcing this from online? Do you know what I mean? Just be careful with it. Just be careful with it. The thing is, even if you went, yeah, he had to go, whatever, and it did happen, then you can't be, looking like you're having a fucking good time, can you? Do you know what I mean? Anyway, it goes on about the collapse of the Nico deal. I won't bore you with all that. They were saying that Nico was 6 years younger than Díaz, had a buyout clause, which meant no negotiations with the club, and a deal on salary and years was already agreed. But then it talks about when it came to draft the contract, the problems began, obviously, because of the registration issues. Nico's side refused to drop the release clause. The rest is history, really, isn't it, guys? Barcelona suspected the agent wasn't helping matters behind the scenes for Nico. But Barca had enough. They told the agent to stop wasting everyone's time, speak to the player and make a final decision, knowing the clause would not be granted. It was time for a yes or no. And Nico, back in Bilbao, met with his family and agent and gave his answer, no. Dressing room concerns. At Barca, they were excited about Nico, but since his dream wasn't really about wearing the Blaugrana shirt, but rather about playing with his Spain teammates. A video even circulated where Nico said his dream was to play with Mbappe. Internally, they also feared that his agent didn't want him at Barca because of potential conflict of interest with his other players at Athletic. For example, the agent of Joan Garcia had no such issues with Espanyol. And finally, some at Barca were concerned about Nico's close relationship with Yamal, worried that a duo like that could isolate themselves from the rest of the group. The more unified and click-free the dressing room is, or click-free, however you want to pronounce it, the better. And that dynamic was seen as risky. And that, my friends, concludes the coverage. That, my friends, concludes the coverage in the Spanish newspapers today. So I know I'm off form. But I'm just trying to give you, an idea of what's been said. And regardless of the tragic events, Liverpool Football Club has a season to prepare for. And yeah, that's it. All right, we'll leave it at that. Now, if you found this video remotely interesting, please thumbs up the video, all right? Drop me a comment about the Díaz stuff. There's a video on here about Jota, if you want to go and leave a comment about him specifically. Maybe some of you think it's not the right time to be talking about other things, but many people handle things very differently, and it doesn't mean they don't care. I care immensely, but I live on my own and in a foreign country as well, and I can't isolate myself any longer either, as daft as it may sound, because when I'm not doing cop talk, I'm literally like that, and I'm a dweller. I'll be honest with you, I'm a dweller, and I need to keep myself busy. I do, and this is my job as well. It's all right people saying take a week off. Well, who can take a week off work unpaid? Cop talk's all I've done, and it's all I've done for nearly 30 years. And if I don't graft, I won't be here in a month's time, and that is the truth. Because if I can't pay what I've got to pay, I don't exist. So I think it's the right time to talk to each other, and just be nice in the comments, and try and keep chins up, I guess. Normally I'd be saying, if you want to get me a beer or a coffee at the super thanks, but it just don't feel right now, to be honest with you. But I don't know, guys. It's not easy sat on this side sometimes, but we're cracking on, and that's my decision to do that. So my answer, would be to people that think it's not the right time to discuss other things is what you're loading up YouTube. And then, if you need to grieve in a particular way, then you need to, you do what's right for you, I think. Do what's right for you, and not tell other people how they should grieve, because some people think that you shouldn't be here for a week or something, but I wouldn't say they're wrong saying that. It's just what they feel. If they need to take time off. One of my VIP members today said, yesterday said, I need some time away from football. Whereas some people want to talk about other things. It's like, well, everyone processes it in a different way. Just love each other. That's all that matters, I think. All right, guys, take care. And we'll hopefully speak real soon. All right, don't forget, check out youtube.com/Duncan Oldham. It should be on the screen. Come over there, do my morning briefings, and we can catch up there as well, a bit more informal. More informal than here, can you believe that?